You're watching Satluj TV News. I'm Angus Scott in London. As the diplomatic row between Canada and India escalates, analysts are watching the situation very closely to understand the implications of Justin Trudeau's revelation earlier this week. The Canadian Prime Minister's announcement of potential Indian government involvement in what amounts to a political assassination on foreign soil was a huge accusation, which has had proportionally huge impact on both East and West. This week, Canada followed the announcement with the expulsion of the Indian Secret Service's most senior representative in Canada, which in turn was reciprocated by India's tit-for-tat expulsion of a Canadian diplomat. India has doubled down on its stance by now refusing to grant visas for Canadian citizens visiting India. Well, so far also very predictable, but what analysts are really now worrying about are the deeper implications from an international perspective. There is little doubt that Canada does indeed have credible evidence to support its claim. As more information emerges, it's clear that Canada had been working with intelligence services of all its allies in the Five Eyes nations, that is the US, the UK, Australia and New Zealand, who had been involved in uncovering the evidence. So the accusation clearly comes with the support of all these nations. Both the US and UK have since publicly supported the investigation, and despite couching their public announcements in the usual diplomatic language, there is little doubt there is an iron fist behind the diplomatic velvet glove. Meanwhile, in India, state-sponsored media is working overtime to deflect the accusation. Attacking it from every angle, they blame Khalistani separatists who they claim are propping up the Trudeau government to have somehow influenced Canada's Liberal Party to concoct the claim. But in reality, for any country to accuse one of the largest economies of the world in engaging in extrajudicial political assassination on foreign soil, the implications of this transcend petty party politics. A compliant media clutching at straws desperate to deflect the world's attention from the Modi government. And certainly, in the context of the involvement of both the US and UK in the investigation, lends weight to the likelihood India has indeed been up to no good and has simply been caught out. But where does this lead? Tensions are escalating as Hindus claim they are now living in fear in Canada. Canadian diplomats are demanding protection in India, fearing Hindu mob violence against them. And all the while, Sikh communities the world over are now looking over their shoulder, fearing an Indian government assassin's bullet. And thus, a spiral of diplomatic conflict risks spilling into something much worse. If indeed the Indian government are proven to have assassinated Nijjar, it hasn't just driven a divisive wedge between Hindu and Sikh communities across the world. It will drive an even larger wedge between Western democracies and India itself. At a time when China is flexing its muscles and forming a potential simultaneous threat to both India and the West, a simple killing on Canadian soil could have much greater implications than people realise. You've been watching Satluj TV News, and don't forget to click on that subscribe button to make sure you get to see stories as they're broadcast. And of course, if you have any comments or any opinions on any of our news stories, you can comment below, or indeed drop us a direct message at message@satlujtv.com. I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. For Satluj TV News, I'm Angus Scott in London.